Well, I was not expecting that. League of Legends crossing over with Magic the Gathering was not on my list of things that I even remotely expected. Truth be told, myself and Brian were sitting down to write out some notes for some structure for an episode of Dice to Removal, in which we talk about realistic projections and realistic ideas and predictions for future Secret Lairs. So this is a spoiler for a future episode of the podcast. And I say explicitly to him, I'm not going to guess League of Legends. I would have done so if it weren't for the existence of Legends of Runeterra, their own card game. But in spite of the existence of Legends of Runeterra, the Arcane TV show, which is a League of Legends TV show, has now got its own Secret Lair. Not what I expected, and I think if you said you were expecting it, you'd be a fucking liar. But what is Arcane? Well, Arcane is a TV show by Riot Games. It is based on Runeterra, the planet which League of Legends takes place on, and it follows the backstory and the origin of Vi and Jinx, two very popular characters from the game. And this is part of Riot Games' push out into other media. They're turning League of Legends into a mini Disney of sorts. It's not just Arcane TV show and League of Legends the game and Legends of Runeterra the card game, but we've got a platformer featuring Echo coming up, we've got a 2D fighting game, and if you step outside of League of Legends itself as a franchise, you have Valorant, which has been a relatively successful riff on the Counter-Strike format, I guess, to summarize as succinctly as possible. The fact of the matter is that Riot Games are looking to encompass all forms of media wherever they can, from comic book to video game to TV show, and they're being pretty fucking successful while they do it. And of course, as Magic the Gathering reaches out and collaborates with whatever product they can, whatever intellectual property they can, to sell us limited time collectibles, because they're in the market of selling collectibles now as much as a card game, we get an Arcane Secret Lair. It kind of sounds like I'm frustrated with it, but I'm not. I'm actually really okay with it. Not hyped as such, but I think it's pretty fine. But let's unpack that a little bit. First of all, let's talk about the people who are saying this is not a League of Legends Secret Lair, to explain how we've managed to get a Secret Lair of a competing product of sorts, because Legends of Runeterra is a digital card game that is taking up some of the space that Arena wants to occupy. I am genuinely shocked by this, but that A, they would collaborate with Riot, and B, that people are pretending that Arcane isn't League of Legends. There are only two ways that you can argue it's not League of Legends. Firstly, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about, in which case you need to stop sharing your opinion, educate yourself, and then come back to the conversation. Or B, you are being disingenuous. You're trying your hardest to be contrary while actually, I don't know, just screaming that it's not League of Legends, it's not League of Legends, you shrink into the size of a corn cob. It is the weirdest shit, considering the splash screen for the TV show and the box for the Secret Lair both have League of Legends written on them. Stop saying it's not League of Legends, that's fucking stupid. With that out of the way, as to how I feel on first glance, well, like I said, I don't love it, I'm not incredibly hyped for it, but I don't hate it either. I think what it is that the cards involved and the story moments they've picked don't resonate with me yet. I've only, at time of recording, seen one episode of Arcane. I quite like it. I'm going to watch the rest over the course of the weekend, and I'm going to ignore the comments to this video so I don't get it spoiled for me. Maybe at the end of watching the show, because I've heard nothing but good things, maybe at the end of the show, then I'll be way more invested with this Secret Lair. In short, the main reason that I'm not super hyped for it like I am for the Warhammer Commander decks is that none of my favourite characters showed up in the Secret Lair. There is no Chandra reskin into Jinx or Vi, for example. There's none of that sort of stuff going on for the characters that I like, Jinx being my ADC main. In spite of the Secret Lair not showing off characters that I want to see on Magic cards, there's no denying that the show is absolutely beautiful in visual design, art style, and especially in motion. Something that I think could be difficult to transfer across to the static images on the card, but they seem to be doing a good job of it. I think some of these might look incredible in foil. In capturing the show, I like it a lot. Further to this, I don't think League of Legends is really that far from Magic the Gathering in terms of aesthetic or stylings. It is Magic the Gathering adjacent, both in the interest of the audience and in the way the game presents itself. Something that people have been concerned about with Walking Dead and Stranger Things, and to a lesser extent Warhammer as well. This is steampunk on top of Magic. There is arcane, quite literally, spells being cast in League and the show, so it doesn't feel like it's miles apart from what Magic is about. So the people who have that concern, not myself, but people that have that concern can rest easy there too. And on the other side of that debate, we have mechanically unique cards, which are completely absent from the Secret Lair. Mechanically unique cards, for those who are not in the know, are printings of cards that don't exist in their own Magic form, and thusly, if you want to play with these in Commander, Legacy, or perhaps even Vintage where they are legal, you have to play with them in their non-MTG versions. The most prominent issue we saw with this was The Walking Dead for a few reasons. First of all, it's a limited time window to get them. Once they were gone, they were gone. Secondly, they can't really reprint other licensed stuff if the license runs out. And thirdly, some people just don't want to play with people with guns and cop badges on them in their fucking fantasy card game, which whilst I don't care too much, I can understand why other people won't want to do that. To just finish off that point, if you don't know, all mechanically unique cards, such as these kids in the Stranger Things Secret Lair, will be reprinted in the following set. In the case of the Stranger Things one, it's going to be the new Streets of Campenna set boosters in the list slot. How good that'll be in terms of making them available in the Magic the Gathering versions is yet to be seen. But the great thing here is that we don't have to worry about any of that shit, because these are cards that already exist and most of them are pretty good. Having 0 mechanically unique cards is basically a home fucking run for me. No predatory buy this now in this window to get to play it 6 months ahead of your friends who don't want to play with John Wick or the Terminator or Banana Man or whatever, and no complications with reprinting them further down the line if the license is lost either. This is good, clean, established Magic cards that you want. It's still Wizards selling you cards directly, but claiming there's no secondary market. But, I mean, it's better than what we've had recently, so let's take. The cards are Path to Exile, Heuristic Study, Duress, Seize the Day, Croson Grip, Counterflux, and Thran Dynamo. 3 of these we have not seen the art for yet. I would assume they were revealed late because of previews or spoilers or something for the show, but I believe the show is fully out on Netflix now. Weird for Netflix to release things not all at once, honestly. Yeah, so these are all cards that already exist. And the cool thing is all of these cards see some play across the Magic landscape anyway, with Counterflux perhaps being the worst of the ones in the Secret Lair, and Seize the Day being the other niche one, but still at $3 or $4 a pop. Heuristic Study is evidently doing all of the heavy lifting here in terms of price, being a $30 card on its own, which is the price you'll pay for a non-foil version of this fetch land, and this being the first foil outside of Commander Arsenal or Judge promos, which means this is guaranteed to sell like fucking hotcakes, especially as it's an opportunity to get it without the Therese Nielsen art on it. If you have a problem with the personal politics like I do, I would hazard this would be the most popular Universes Beyond skin card to date, and you'll be seeing it across your tables a lot. The super interesting thing about this as well is that not all of the cards are reskinned in the reskinning way that we saw with Godzilla cards. Path to Exile, for example, is clearly, even without the reskin, denoted as a Universes Beyond card with the triangular hologram. This is interesting because I didn't know this was a thing they would be doing with Universes Beyond. We haven't been told this explicitly or seen this before. All Universes Beyond cards up to this point have been new, mechanically unique things, or, in the case of Godzilla, which kind of counts, reskins. This is a non-reskin. This is the Magic name through and through. I picture a world in 5 years' time where you can play all your Universes Beyond cards in the same format, the format being called Universes Beyond. And that means there's no Birds of Paradise, there's no Brainstorms, no Thalia's, Dark Conference, Tarmogoyfs, unless those things have a Universes Beyond printing. I guess perhaps Thalia would be illegal if we count the Dracula printing of her, I guess. Either way, I think that's a cool and interesting, like, Super Smash Bros.-esque game mode. Some people will think this is dreadful. I know the prof thinks it's awful. I think it sounds pretty fucking cool. So to summarize, I'm not super excited about the choices of stuff that made it into it. I'm probably going to pick it up, but it's not super hype for me, but it's inoffensive. I quite like the collaboration. I have no problems with it. The final point I'm coming to, which might even be the title of this video if I figure out what the fuck I'm going to call it, is that there's more to the Secret Lair than simply the cards inside that hold a value that Wizards won't admit to. There's also this idea of collaboration and brand synergy that we see Riot and League and Arcane as a entity doing very well, and a thing that I think Wizards could learn from and do better with. Riot Games have put Arcane to the forefront of nerdy and normie spaces by firstly creating a show that's actually good and of merit, but secondarily by collaborating with other big brands and throwing the cash around. Arcane is collaborating with Fortnite by having Jinx be playable in the game, it's having Magic cards come out in our sphere as well, and it's even having integrations and collaborations with Rihanna's beauty label for some very strange and bizarre reason. This is an insane level of buzz to build in multiple spheres, a lot of money spent, but it makes Arcane be at the forefront of people's minds. And I think Wizards of the Coast can learn from this. They have the Netflix show coming, right? Although, that said, I am apprehensive about what's going to happen with the Netflix show. We've already had showrunners leave over creative differences and them seemingly pivot from marketing material focusing on Chandra, the character they've already had controversies over recently about whether she's gay or not, to Gideon and Jace. Either way, I want the show to be good, and I want it to be so good that it transcends the barriers of just our little nerd world. I want this to be as popular, it's not going to be, but as popular as Arcane. Arcane goes to show that with a good show, or even a middling show with good press and marketing, you can get your brand, your IP out there and in the eyes or under the nose of people that may never have touched it in the first place. Like I said, Riot Games are turning League of Legends as a property, as a franchise, into the modern day Marvel or Disney. This might be a thing that our grandchildren or great-grandchildren, if the world hasn't burnt to a cinder, they might talk about this as affectionately as they do or we do about Disney or Marvel. It is a house of characters and ideas that spans multiple mediums, and it's something that I think Wizards or someone in this space could do as well if they just put the effort or the money into it. And I know that Wizards aren't as rich as Riot, because no one is as rich as Riot Games, right? They have got literally infinite money. But Wizards made almost $1 billion last year in profit, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's virtually infinite money. I am being hyperbolic with that statement, but you've got to think, what if they spent the money on marketing that they have done for Arcane? Can you imagine how big that would be for Magic? Magic is still weirdly a niche hobby in spite of it making so much fucking money and being such a collector, affluent market as well in the secondary sense. It's weird that when I was in Vegas and I was chatting to different Uber drivers or about what I was doing in the city, that when I mentioned Magic, some of them didn't know what it was, but they still knew what Warhammer was, which is just strange, right? And that's probably through video games or novels and other crossovers that Warhammer has done that Magic has always failed at. Why doesn't Magic have New York Times best-selling novels? Why doesn't it have a video game series like Dawn of War or Space Marine or any of the even lesser ones than those that resonated with a certain age of nerd? People watching this are probably thinking the same as I am. The Netflix show is gonna suck. It might even do damage to the image of Magic, making it seem cheesy and cornier than it actually is. Because Magic doesn't have the best image in the public eye or the normie spaces, right? It doesn't have an image problem as such, not as much as it used to, but it's not exactly perceived as the cool in thing, right? And the funny thing is that I'm saying anecdotally that some of the drivers that I had this weekend knew what Warhammer was, not Magic, weirdly. That's not because Warhammer is bigger than Magic. Games Workshop made far less money than Wizards of the Coast did this year. The wheels were set in motion for this shit many moons ago, when Planeswalkers took to the forefront of the game and become the pieces in which we see as our player inserts, the characters that we can resonate with and attach ourselves to. And then they've never really capitalized on that. Like, there's been some comic books, but what about the video game spaces? What about the TV show spaces, which are coming up? And maybe I should shut my fucking mouth and wait for the Netflix show to be actually good, right? In short, I don't think Magic needs to do this. It's making shit tons of fucking money anyway, but I think there is room there for improvement, and I wish they would learn from the partners that they partner up with, like Epic Games and Fortnite, or in this case, Riot Games and Arcane. And this is the final point that I'll end the video on, is that it's interesting to see Arcane spread out and put itself across so many spheres, so many normie spheres and other nerd spheres by spending money to advertise within those spaces, within those games. Skins in Fortnite, cards in Magic. The thing is, why don't we see it the other way around for Magic, right? Magic is happy to use its player base as a space for marketing for other games, for Arcane and League of Legends and Fortnite and similar, but it's not doing it the other way. We haven't yet to see a Chandra skin in Fortnite, as far as I understand it or know, unless something's changed in the last week or so that I haven't seen. And we're probably not going to see that with League either. Like, 1 or 2 skins could go a long way. And Fortnite, that's more likely to happen, because Fortnite is keen to do what Magic is doing, where it's like it's a toy box to poke brands into and make money. League, I think, dare I say it, respects itself a bit more by not putting other intellectual properties into its game and canon and visual aesthetic. And that speaks volumes, right? About how Magic is becoming more like Fortnite than it is League of Legends. I just don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, I don't know if I'm being too pessimistic, even though I like this crossover. Maybe I'm just trying to find the negative. Or maybe I'm just on a downer after Vegas. I'll be on much more upbeat next week. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I will read the comments, but it won't be till after the weekend, because I need to watch the rest of Arcane before you fuckers spoil it for me. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment, hit that like button, smash that bell, subscribe, and all that normal shit. And I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.